Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in 1 Year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is, what is today? Today is May 12th. Good morning. Or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. So, what we normally do here is we listen to a recording of the daily reading. We share insights, perspectives, whatever comes alive in us at the moment today. It's not prescripted, it's not pre planned, other than the reading is on a schedule that was created by Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen many, many years ago. And so that's what we're up to. And then we do a 5-minute meditative practice and we close with a spiritual mind treatment. So let's get started. Reading from May 12th, Science of Mind, A Philosophy, a Faith, a Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 197, paragraph 5, through page 198, paragraph 1, using inclusive language. Only our own concepts limit us. Realizing that the conscious thought operates through a power which is infinite, we see there can be no limit to the power to heal, other than the limit of our own ability to conceive that power as healing. We are limited not by principle, but by our own inability to see perfection. Our thought can bring out a condition as perfect as we can conceive. Therefore, the person whose thought is the most godlike, that is, the truest, the highest, the most noble, the most complete, the most peaceful, will be the best healer. Their thought reflects a greater perfection. That is why we cannot divorce true mental healing from true spiritual work. When thought reaches a higher degree of perfection, as the race consciousness unfolds and evolves, it will bring out a still greater development of life than we know now. Alrighty. I was waiting for there to be more. So immediately what popped out at me, we are limited not by principle, but by our own inability to see perfection. Our thought can bring out a condition as perfect as we can conceive. Um, and then it talks about having thought that is the most godlike. And the way I choose to read that is thought that is most aligned with spiritual truth. Because I know the God word triggers a lot of people, activates a lot of woundedness in people. And maybe we can use this to help heal. Maybe. Um, the truest, the highest, the most noble, the most complete, the most peaceful will be the best healer. And that's talking about thought. That's not talking about people, right? Um, One of the things that I think it's really important that we grasp with this metaphysical teaching, with science of mind, with any metaphysical teaching, regardless of what flavor it is, it's essentially the same. Um, but to realize that this human me is not healing anything, that I am using consciousness, the energy of creation. I am using what is already perfect, what I'm using the substance that never needs to be healed because it can't ever be unhealed to heal itself. And so that's one reason why we call it spiritual mind treatment.
because what we're doing is healing the thoughts that are out of alignment with the truth of principle, the truth, which is then the truth of our being, the truth of consciousness, the truth of one existent power. Anything out of alignment with that, because we're separated, causes dis-ease. And the physical side, you know, and I think it's something that we grapple with. Um, and personally, I love that we grapple with things rather than just taking somebody else's word for something and just, oh, okay, so I'll just accept that without exploring it. No, explore this stuff. Take it apart. Look at it from every possible angle you can think to look at it. Um, because we teach science of mind. Ernest Holmes talked about his dream that science and religion would walk hand in hand. Well, science has things called bacteria and things called viruses, which, in the truth of one creation, must be just as much creator, just as much God, just as much spirit, whatever we want to call it, as you and I, right? We don't get to say there's only one, but then carve out caveats for things we dislike. Now, nothing I didn't like when my gallbladder needed to be removed. Didn't like how it felt. Didn't like needing to call 911 because it felt like I was having a heart attack. Didn't like the surgery. Didn't like the post op. And I'm so incredibly grateful that infinite intelligence as science keeps learning so that we can care for the scientific journey of this physical body. Um, from everything I can see, and I say it that way on purpose because ultimately, I don't know. And everything that I see indicates that the physical realm is designed to be temporary. And so I ask myself frequently, at what point is the healing of the physical actually the exit from the physical? Because it seems to me at some point the ultimate healing is the releasing of the body and returning to the formless. Now, a lot of us don't want to think about that, right? Um, and I don't think about it a lot. And in times like this, I think about it, right? Because I think it's important that we think about it. I think it's important that we are curious, that we grapple with these concepts. To one of the things they taught us to be really clear about when we're doing spiritual mind treatment for someone with a physical thing, are we treating for a spiritual mind healing, or have we slipped into treating for a physical cure? Um, because those two things are very different. Very different. And I'm not going to suggest that one is preferable over the other, because I don't know, and I'm okay not knowing. Um, and I think it's really important that we are clear going into our treatments. What are we actually treating for? Um, treating for a physical cure, to be careful that I'm not slipping into duality and beseeching a God outside of me to do something for me that I'm not treating consciousness like a vending machine. Um, that I am still a participant, that I am still very much aware of oneness and the wholeness of creation. And then I'm willing to do whatever comes up in the mental shifts to participate in the physical cure. That's what comes up for me. And that is probably very much influenced because right now I have a lot of people on my prayer list that are seeking both spiritual mind treatment, spiritual healing, and physical cure. They're very clear. They want both. And so my opportunity, my commitment is to treat for exactly that. And so I'm sure that's why my focus today is on that. And, this line, his thought reflects a greater perfection. That is why he cannot divorce true mental healing from spiritual work. When thought reaches a higher degree of perfection, as the race consciousness unfolds and evolves, it will bring out a still greater development of life than we know now. When thought reaches a higher degree of perfection as the race consciousness unfolds and evolves. See, that's where we each have a participatory role in what's happening in society, in our country, in other countries, in the world, in the universe, in outer space. Right? When we participate and when we each lean into that clarity of oneness, of wholeness, of the harmonious operation of one, when we hold that as a self-evident truth that must manifest in form, then the whole of humanity begins to remember the truth of its being. And that will change things in a way that we imagine and have yet to experience. I'm going to close with that. So now we're going to go into our time of meditation and contemplation. It's a 5-minute practice session to just practice being. Don't try to make anything happen. Don't try to prevent anything from happening. If something comes up, don't push it away. Just be present for the next 5 minutes. See what happens. Here we go. So breathing into this moment, into this recognition of one, I recognize the perfection of being. I recognize the self-evident nature of consciousness itself. One reality, one consciousness, one energy, one quantum field, one God, one great mystery, unfolding itself as it expresses in the multiplicity of individualized forms, of which I am one, creating out of itself to express itself, to be itself, to awaken as its individualized self to the truth of its being, to the self of it. And I am that. And what is true of me must be true of each and every form of creation. The very chair I sit in, the house I sit in, the technology that I'm using, and every person, place, thing, animal, vegetable, mineral, flora, fauna, all of it is this infinite oneness expressing. And so I get to claim and affirm that every expression of this infinite being is awakening to the truth of its own being as that. That each and every form at its level of awareness is awakening to the perfection of its being, the wholeness of its being, is awakening to the oneness of creation, so that as each and every one of us encounters anything and everything, we recognize it as an expression of the infinite in form. And so we revere all of life. All of life. We embrace, we embody, we see only the perfection of life unfolding perfectly, empowered by the choice of consciousness itself to express. We recognize that creative process is born within every individualization of the self. And so every choice is one of sacredness. Every choice is a holy choice to express. I claim and affirm seeing the perfection of that always, in always. The power of choice. Free of guilt, shame, and blame. Free of persecution. Free of, you should have done it different. Free of all judgment. Choosing in the harmonious operation of one. And I am grateful. I'm grateful for this power of choice that is the birthright of our beingness. That is the very mechanism of the infinite expressing itself in, through, and as its creation. Grateful that the doer within this creative process, the activity within this triune nature of life, simply says yes. and acts upon the desire, making it so. And so I, with absolute confidence, know that the word spoken this morning, even before it came out of my human mouth in formed words, the desire was known by itself within me and already acted upon. And so knowing it is that complete, complete is complete is complete, it's complete, I let go. I let go of anything and everything that would restrict the full manifestation of my word spoken. I let it all go. Releasing my word and releasing myself to complete fulfillment, the complete experience of that which is fulfilled, already fulfilled. So I let go and I step fully into the experience of what is. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.